Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate you being here with us and sharing your experience today. So Dan is the operations manager at Bonnie Don Flavours. Bonnie Don has done some really interesting things with the Minotaur system that many of our customers have not yet tackled, but which many are doing in manual or time-consuming ways. So in particular, you use Minotaur for generating many forms and labels that you produce in your business.
Correct.
So in this case, you go well beyond the typical forms of things like purchase orders or invoices. And so before we take a look at what you've done, can you just give me a quick background on Bonnie Don Flavours, how long you've been around, and where you fit in the marketplace?
We're a local food flavor manufacturer, privately owned. We've been in business for over 15 years, located in Mississauga, and we supply flavoring for the food, nutraceutical, and pharmaceutical industries.
Perfect. And you signed up with Minotaur in October of 2012. And when did you go live?
February 1st, 2013.
Okay, so that was a pretty speedy process.
It's aggressive.
Yep. And you've implemented the core Minotaur accounting functionality, inventory, manufacturing, lot control, and QC.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. So can you just switch slides for us? So these are some of the documents that you are currently using Minotaur to generate.
Yes.
So technical documents, which includes things like nutritional panels and ingredient decks, certificates of analysis, including those test results of the testing that you're doing, the MSDS sheets, and I was surprised about, I didn't realize that food companies needed to do the
Yes.
MSDS, but I guess if you have any alcohol in any of your products.
How many ingredients need to be declared?
Okay.
Flammability.
Okay, so MSDS sheets, and then finally customer-specific labels, including skid labels as well.
Correct.
Perfect. So let's. Did you actually go live when you went live? Did you produce all of those documents right from the beginning?
No. We only started with the certificate of analysis and the labeling. We introduced the technical documents at a later stage, as well as the MSDS.
Perfect. Let's flip through and just take a look at one. So now I've got, this is your technical document, and it's a little
Correct.
hard to see because there's so much information on it. So this is not a document that's sent out with every shipment. When do you use this document?
Typically, this is for new development of products. It will be sent out, or a lot of customers request that their technical documentation is updated on an annual basis. So basically, when requested.
Okay, or when the government comes out with a new allergen that you have to identify.
Make changes, correct.
Things like that. And I notice on these documents that there's the nutritional panel information.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us how Minotaur is calculating that for you?
We've used the part of the system where it has nutritional data available. There's a panel.
Oh yeah,
I'm not
actually
sure
flip
which,
through to the front, and then we'll go back. Yeah, so there's the nutritional
right here.
panel.
So we've taken a large portion of these fields and used that as the driving force behind calculation of the information provided on our technical document.
So you basically, and because your items are set up, all of your finished good items are set up per kilo.
Correct.
So that makes it a bit easier that the math doesn't have to divide by a serving size, for
Correct.
Instance.
Correct.
It's just, it's
all
a true
based on-
math.
It's based on 100 grams, which I believe is required.
Okay. Flip back just for me, Wendy, to the actual technical document. Besides the nutritional panel section, there's also your ingredient list, and the ingredient list is not necessarily just what's on the bill of material.
That's correct.
And how does it determine what shows and what order?
Everything does an indented bill of materials, so the specific raw materials are flagged that need to be populated on a label for a list of ingredients. There's specific requirements that are guidelines.
So you might have to say combine all sugars into one.
Yeah, sugars and salts and sodium benzoate and preservatives, colors, things of that nature have to be identified on a list of ingredients. So they've been set up in the system because at a certain level as well.
Oh, right. You said that sometimes it has to appear if it's above a threshold.
Correct. So we've set up parameters within the system based on every raw material, and then it does a review of the indented bill of material, and then it populates in the list of order of greatest to smallest. So it does it automatically.
Based on the percent of the formulation?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
cool. So just maybe flip back to that. So the steps that you follow right now, you've created a process where you set up, this is for your manufactured items, which is about, I think you said 5 to 10%
of our raw materials may require to be present on a list of ingredients.
Okay. And so you set those up, and then you're just working with your formulas, and this is being done in the background.
Correct.
So you don't have to set it up with each new formula you do. You just have to make sure that the item has the proper identifications and that you've set up, if necessary, the nutritional information.
We just manage the raw materials and ensure that the information within the raw material is correct and everything flows through.
And has that saved you guys a lot of time?
A lot of time.
So before you had Minotaur doing this, how were you preparing those?
We also had separate documents. So we had nutritional document, we had an allergen document, we had a spec document, natural statement, GMO statement, a lot of different statements. So there was maybe 5 or 6 documents. We pulled them all together into one technical document. So in the past we would store them on a Word document. So they were managed and maintained manually, updated manually when there was changes. And when you're dealing with hundreds of formulas, it could be very time consuming. So this process allowed us just to build the data behind. And now we just pick a range, PDF it, and email it. It's done. It's quite simple.
So this was part of Liz and our form
Liz,
development magic.
yeah, she did a lot of work. Yeah.
To put all the logic that is required to come up with that in the background.
Correct.
Perfect. So let's take a look at the next document. So the next one we've got is the certificate of analysis. So you produce certificates of analysis for your finished products, and that's based on the test results. So who enters the test results, but then who produces the actual document when it needs to go to the customer?
So the test results are entered or analyzed by our QC technicians, and then they're populated within the system. What we do now is the C of A is generated by the shipper. So the shipper, we send a C of A for every product, every lot number, for every shipment. So he has the ability to print them all at the time of shipping, put them all in an envelope, attach it to the shipment. And
So based on the lots he's shipping, the correct C of A's are produced.
Exactly.
Okay. And then you also have a flag for the shipper, because some customers have also requested an email?
Correct. So we've used the system to pop up using the $ there. C of A must be shipped or emailed to a specific individual, so he can do that at the exact same time as well.
So that saves more admin time, because it's now been taken down to the floor and the people down there have the tools, but yet they can't go and change any of this information.
No,
They're
it's just a PDF document. And, so in the past, we used to print them off in the lab and then have to forward them to the shipping area, and the shipper would then have to wait for that.
So that caused delays occasionally?
Delays at times, correct,
Okay.
waiting.
And so now, as soon as
Yeah.
it's done and ready to
When
go.
it's necessary, he just prints it off.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, let's take a look at the next one. So here's your MSDS sheets. And do these documents go out with every shipment?
Every shipment that is hazardous.
Okay. And that's because it has to have that, they have to have it in
For
the
the
trucks?
transportation of dangerous goods, you need to have MSDS is present.
Perfect. So the trend I'm hearing is that now that the setup's done, there's a lot less work for admin staff in trying to pull this information together. Okay, cool. And so finally, let's take a look at your customer-specific labels. And I know that you did some changes to this just even more recently.
Correct.
You had a customer that asked for a GTIN, so basically just the product code in its own barcode. And so in this one, we're including a GS1 128 barcode, but you can have multiple barcodes on the same label based on your customer requirements. And that way it makes it easy for their systems, whatever their system is able to use, to be able to just read it directly in with a scanner,
Right.
rather than having to receive manually like they previously did. So do you have a lot of different customers asking for different formats?
We only have 2 at this point.
Okay.
Most are GS1, but the GTIN 12 as well as another one that has recently come into play for us.
Okay, perfect. So how were you producing these labels before you used Minotaur?
Manual. It was a very manual system. The information was populated, so there was always the risk of error.
Because you had to go in and type in the
They
lot
would-
number
they
for
would go
that
in and
label
type
and
the-
then print a certain number of those
And do
labels.
all that. So now everything's driven from the picking list, basically. The lot numbers can be done that way. We also, when we do a work order, the work orders are tied directly to the labels.
Oh, okay.
So all the information is populated based on the setup of the item code.
So
and the
this is
customer.
once again moved down onto the floor. They're able to produce their own labels down there. Excellent. So I guess we've got a couple of other slides. I don't think Randy from Pastel made it in today, but he gave us permission to show some of his documents that are also, you guys produce a little bit of this as well. Maybe just forward through, Wendy. So there's some other documents that we've produced for various customers that are required for shipping across the border. So your Canada's Customs invoice, a manifest document, the next one, prior notice for going across the border, as well as, in this case, and a commercial invoice. So, the idea is that once you get the document set up, then it's populated and it's easier for you to move it out of admin and down to where the actual process is taking place. Okay, perfect. So before you went to Minotaur, you were using so you had one system for accounting?
Simply accounting. We used Word documents. We used Excel spreadsheets.
And what did you do your costing in?
Yeah, we did also had a Microsoft Access database that was sort of developed for our use, which was very low level, which allowed us to control formulations and lots and things of that nature. So we had a lot of standalone systems. So this kind of pulled everything together for us under one umbrella, basically.
Excellent. And do you find that gives you better reporting over across, because
For
before
sure.
you had disconnected pieces?
Especially with the separation between the accounting system and the the inventory and
Right.
data system. That was much different.
Perfect. You're off the
Good.
hook.
Awesome.
Thank you
Great.
very much.
Thank you.